About conflict, we're talking about competence, and we're talking about competence. So this is conflict, right? This is where we're going to start today. I'm thinking this is one talk. It might be like 4, so I might have to split it up. We'll see what happens. So this is conflict, right? And then after conflict, we go to compassion. This is what compassion looks like. And then after compassion, we go to competence, where we're both competent. This is what that looks like. And after competence, we go to Holy Communion, or collaboration, and this is what that looks like. So I want you to get those visuals because that's where we're headed. First of all, conflict. Collaboration is so hard. You know, it's really, really hard to collaborate because we have our own agendas and our own thoughts, you know. But the good news is with collaboration, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, which means if you're coming up against a conflict, you get to see yourself move through bold glass ceilings that you think like, you know, this is a really bad, scary monster under the bed, but if I get through it, there's expansion that happens, and that's really awesome. I printed my talk out today, and the printer ink was really light, so I'm putting my glasses on. I'm collaborating with the truth of my eyesight. So conflict cannot survive without your participation. Isn't that good news? Conflict cannot survive without your participation. So you get to ask, like, what am I participating in? That's from Wayne Dyer, and it's such a good piece of information. Conflict stems from our inability or refusal to collaborate. But the thing is, like I said, we're in constant collaboration. You get out of bed, you're in collaboration with the floor. You're in collaboration with the weather. You know, you gotta, you know, if you're gonna have pain if you don't actually collaborate. It's wintertime. I need a jacket. You have to collaborate with the laws. You know, jaywalking. Don't murder people. Otherwise, you know, you're gonna end up in jail. You didn't collaborate. You know, that's the outcome. You know, the laws and the in-laws. You got to collaborate with the in-laws. Who gets to do Christmas this year? You know, you got to have an ebb and flow. And that's what collaboration is. It's like finding that soft spot between us. So we want to look at the blocks to collaboration. And the blocks to collaboration are conflicts. And conflict means with contest. So it means with competition. So when you're in a conflict, you could say, oh, I'm competing against something, or I'm contesting something, you know? And so like when you think about going to the court, you know, I'm going to contest this, you know? It's not to say that you shouldn't go to court to contest something, but do you want to contest it to be right and make them wrong? Or do you want to contest it to make things right for everyone? Okay? So, you know, going to court is a really rough road to go. I will say that if you can avoid it at any length, do it. But, you know, sometimes we do have to show up to those classrooms. But it's how we go to that classrooms that make it the difference between conflict and looking for the collaboration, looking for the place within us where there is no right or no wrong, as Rumi says. So collaboration is a win-win, and conflict, or to have a contest, there's a win-lose, you know? And so are we investing in a world where there's a win-lose, or in a world where there's a win-win? And we can have a world where there's a win-win. If we invest in a world where there's a win-lose, immediately anxiety comes up. And that anxiety comes from the fear of not getting something we want or losing something that we have. And fear is an illusion. That fear is based on scarcity. You know, it's just not the truth and the whole truth that there's more than enough for all of us. There was a woman on the phone call this morning, and she had this sticky situation. Really great lady. We call her the baby whisperer because she helps new moms put babies to, you know, get them to go to sleep. And she rides her bike around Chicago. She's got gray hair down to here. I mean, she's just such a great character. And she needed $3,000, and she was like sweating it so badly. And we're like, dude, like there's more than $3,000. There's so much money in the world. You know, there's so much more in the world than we really think. There was a lady here one time who called me up and she said, I don't have any couches in my home. And I was like, what, are you kidding me? Like, there's a billion couches in the world. Like, there's a plethora of couches. We made a couple of phone calls. We got her 2 couches. Like, there's no lack here. Sometimes it's just a matter of asking for it, you know? And that can be really scary to ask for help. But, you know, it's not going to help sometimes doesn't have ESP, so we got to ask. Help doesn't have ESP. So that's a place where we, you know, breed some trust in God. A Course in Miracles says, when it comes to conflict, A Course in Miracles says, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? You know, so how can we find a way for both of us to be happy? We want to be happy, of course. That's the optimal idea, is that we want to be happy. And does your good make me happy? Like, that's an even better question. And why does your good make me sad is an interesting question, too. So, A Course in Miracles says, I am here only to be truly helpful. Like, imagine if you went into every collaborative situation saying, I'm not here to win. I'm not here to get you to do it my way. I'm here to be helpful. That if I'm here to win, get it my way, this is what it looks like. We're fighting the universe. If I'm here to be truly helpful, I got to come like this. I got to come with open hands, open heart, open agenda, and just see, like, what is it? What is it between us? Can we find something that hasn't been created before? If we come like this, we could get it done, but we're going to get it done the hard way. If we come like this, there's a possibility for a greater miracle to happen between us that requires an openness. So don't allow anything to close you down. It's not your natural state. This is not our natural state. I said, did you ever see Jesus like this? If it was, it'd be the Irish Jesus, the fighting Jesus, You never see Mother Mary like this? I would love a statue like that, though, wouldn't you? I'll kick your ass. And I bet she could. Heresy. Mother Mary's like, I'm a lady. I'm a lady. A lady doesn't do that. My sister Erin got really drunk this past week, the whole week, and her buzz line was, a lady doesn't say such things. Oh my God, we had us laughing so hard. So where is conflict? Where does conflict start? It's not out here. Out here is just the projection of what's up here. This is the battleground that we're all fighting on, So if I know that the battleground is up here, the conflict is up here, God, instant solution. I get to change my mind. That's all that's required for me to move from, conflict to resolution. Being conflict-free is a state of mind. Being conflict-free is a state of mind. And all it requires is that I change my mind. All conflict comes from a divided mind, a mind that believes and invests in scarcity, in sin, and in separateness. So if you want to take your conflicts through that, most of the time we're having this conflict because we think it's just you and me and A and B and there's no gray area. But in the Holy Spirit, there's infinite solutions. We like to say, well, I couldn't help it. I was in between a rock and a hard place. You just didn't look around enough to see all of the other doors that were there. Because when you go with the Holy Spirit, there are doors where there once were walls. And you deserve to walk through gracefully and not fight your way through. That's an old story. That needs to be put to rest. At least for me it does, because I'm not a good fighter. I get pinned every time by my sisters. I used to be strong. I have 5 older sisters. That's how I got to be so tough. Yeah. So you can't solve the problem at the level of the problem, right? You got to move above the problem. And a problem isn't something that you chase. A problem is something that you lay for, you wait for, and it comes to you. If you're chasing a solution, you're not trusting God, okay? So when we say be still and know God, we're literally saying, stop doing all the heavy lifting. Stop fighting your way through this. You're exerting too much energy here. We're not here to exert energy. We're here to wait for God's solution. And I say all the time, come on, God, make the next move. I'm going to wait on you. It's so much more fun to play that way. And when God makes the next move, it's a shortcut. It's a door where there once was a wall. It's a perfect conversation that happens. It's a synchronicity. And we're surrounded by them. You know that. You've seen that. You've seen miracles in your life. You've seen shortcuts happen. I mean, that's miraculous, I think. And miracles are our natural state of being. So now listen, sometimes we're going to hit a roadblock or a perceived roadblock. We're going to be engaged with some, what I like to call a-hole. I don't like to call them that. I like to use all the S's, but I'm going to... But we can be engaged with somebody, a high maintenance person, a person of extra grace required, right? And when we're in that, we still have a choice. It's like saying, I didn't know the oven was hot again. You touched it 15 million times. How many times did I have to tell you, I'm hot. I'm a hot oven. So you want to get to the mathematics of that, right? You want to say, look, you plus me equals pain. Okay, you plus me equals pain. So I'm going to subtract myself from this equation. And I'm going to move on to something. I've graduated from this classroom. I love you at a distance, right? We can do that. We can love at a distance. It's not like we're going to evade all of our conflicts, Great people have had great conflicts. Jesus, Mother Teresa. Oh my gosh, every day she woke up having to come to that classroom. You and me, we got it good. You know what I mean? Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, these are people that faced some conflict and rose from it. And so, if a conflict knocks on your door, be ready to rise, because you're ready for it, because God doesn't bring you to it without bringing you through it. So this is going to be an opportunity for growth. Don't be disguised by it, okay? So these outer war, I'm going to skip that part. I have a lot to say today. I was going to read you a piece from this thing called The Artist's Way about crazy makers and black holes and poisonous playmates. We all have those, those people that are extra grace required. I'm going to post that on the Facebook page so you can read more about that. But basically, even in the face of these people, see if you can get to forgiveness. Forgiveness is keys to the kingdom, Really see if you can get to true, authentic forgiveness, which doesn't mean like, I forgive you, you're really bad. You're so bad, I forgive you. I'm the better person and you're bad. Forgiveness means, it's no sweat off my back, man. You can't touch this. That's forgiveness. That's like, you don't understand how audacious I am. You thought you could punch me in the head. And you know what? You never touched me. Like, I'm good to go. My grandmother hits harder than that. Whatever you got to tell yourself. Whatever you got to tell yourself, just know that if some pain comes into your home, pain is pay attention inward, This is for me. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to rise from this, not just so I can rise from it for myself, but so that I can be a way shower for everyone else who comes through this door. This is no big thing. This is not the most important thing about you. This is a thing that happened when? In the past. You got hit in the head once? Yeah, why do you keep talking about it? That happened in the past. Now you keep talking about it, you're hitting yourself in the head. I don't want to see you hitting yourself in the head anymore. It's distracting. I'm trying to do a sermon here. Oh, my Lord. So, do not go to God with a knife in your brother, okay? That we want to sink in. Do not go to God with a knife in your brother's back. It doesn't look good. Don't go running into heaven carrying your crucifixions and your conflicts, man. You got to drop them. Drop them like they're hot bricks. They do not fit in the door. Make haste to your freedom. Make haste to your freedom. I know, it's easier said than done, but, it needs to get done, so why not today? You want to drag this into tomorrow? You want to drag it into the next day? You want to go like this? You know how helpful you are like this? You can't play the guitar like this. Hey, Kathy, you ever played the guitar like this? No. You ever, made love to someone like this or made a cake like that? It's awkward, okay, at best. Hey, here we go. You got to come like this. You got to come like this and be available to be helpful and collaborate with the world. That's when we're at our most optimal selves. And I don't know about you, but I'm invested in you being optimal. Okay? I'm invested in you getting there. And if I have to tell you, open up, man, this clammed hands isn't working for you. It's not attractive. Nobody likes it. I will tell you that, and I hope you tell me that too. We're responsible for holding holding up our blind spots. What do we call that when somebody has a blind spot? BS. Thank you, Pam. Someone was listening that Sunday. BS. Yeah, you got hit in the head? Yeah, I got hit in the head. When? Yesterday. That's BS, man. Drop it. That's it. Move forward. You got bigger fish to fry. So, because if you activate a little bit of gratitude, if you activate a little bit of understanding, so we move from conflict to understanding to compassion. Have compassion for those that you want to hang up and string out. Have compassion for them. That would be the optimal thing. This person that's knocking on your door and punching you in the head, they're a call for love. That's what they are. We're confusing them as the enemy, and we're saying, oh yeah, well look, what has this got us? Nothing. When we're talking about Memorial Day, we're talking about men and women who have given up their lives, because they weren't taught compassion. They were taught defense. What would happen if we had an army of compassion? Don't even get me started. Wouldn't that be brilliant? Anyhow, so here we can start. So you have this guy who's in pain. He's scared. He's suffering. And I'm going to come to him like this? That's not going to work. I got to come to him like this. Compassion, a seed of understanding. A seed of understanding and love is such an aggressive seed. If planted in the right fertilizer, it can take over the whole garden so that there will be no room left for conflict. A seed of resentment, a seed of resentment can also not only take over the whole garden, if we carry it around with us, it can take down crops for generations to come. Is that what we want? You know, I mean, can't we be the ones who are the worthy gardeners today and ask, like, how does my garden grow? I'm responsible for that. I'm responsible for getting these blocks out of the way, not just for myself, but for my kids. Do I want to leave this for them? More wars? I mean, I know we are all invested in solving the solution. I know that people have been talking this talk for years and years and years, but if we don't, we're just eroding it. We're still in the conversation. We don't have to lose hope just because we're in the middle of the conversation. The story is not over yet. All right, that went off script a little bit there. Okay, so when we get to this, when we're afraid of blooming from this place, it's usually because, we're in drama or we're in trauma, the idea that somebody hit me in the head once, or we're afraid of blooming. Anise Nin said, when the day comes when the risk to remain tight in the bud is more painful than the risk it took to bloom. All of the wars, most of them start over the fear of blooming and allowing other people to bloom as bold and as beautiful as they want to be. We think that we can segregate and monopolize and own because we think that there's a lack. The only reason I would fence off my good is because I believe there's a lack. The truth is, if I take down my fences, there's more for everyone. We know the loaves and the fishes is not just a myth. It's not just a story. We've experienced it in our life where we're like, okay, I got a couple bucks, and you got a couple bucks, and all of a sudden we got $3,000, and Judy's out of the hot spot, And that's beautiful, and we get to witness it, and we get to be the solution. We see somebody, you got no couches? Look, let me make a phone call. I know friends with couches. I got a guy. So I think that most of the time we remain in conflict because we're afraid of the new thought. We're just running around the circles with the old thought, the old story, the old broken limitation. And it's scary for us to reach for the new thought, but we can reach for it together. Trouble comes when we're just churning with the old thought and not having enough motion in our life and activity in our life. Remember when you're a kid and you're at home and all your brothers and sisters, I had 8 brothers and sisters, they'd be fighting each other, and pulling, that's my seat, no, that's my seat, and get me a drink of water, and Mom, he did this and he did that, and she bit me and he licked me. Literally licked me, like, stop that, it's gross. And your mom would say, okay, everyone, get outside and play, right? Because she knew there's magic in playing. When we get into fights like this, it's because most of the time we forget to play. Like, go play, man. Go paint your pictures. Go sing your songs. Go learn how to play the freaking ukulele, for Christ's sake. Literally, for Christ's conscious sake. Go play, And if you add that medicine to your life, you'll distract yourself from the broken places. This is your responsibility. The good question is, where am I not playing? Where can I play? I took my kids to play archery the other day. They had so much fun. There was like marshmallows stuck to the end, so nobody got hurt, but you'll poke your eye out. That's what just came into my head. So how do we step out of conflict? A great way to step out of conflict is if you're in conflict with somebody, you can simply say to them, like, you know what? This is my sister and I love her. I love her to death. She loves me to death. She's Republican. I'm Democrat. And I get to say to her, hey, guess what? I'm going to agree to disagree with you today. And we don't even have to talk about it. There's so many other conversations that you and I can talk about. And we spend weeks together talking about all of the good and beautiful and holy things in our life. And our politics never even have to come up. We just agree to disagree. Leave it on the back burner. Who cares, What's more important? My love for you is more important than any opinion I have on what color the sky is, You could say it's purple, I'll say it's red. Who cares? Do you love me? I love you. That's what's most important. Anyhow, my sister Mary might watch this, so I have to say nice things about her. She's awesome. When we're open to being compassionate, we get to be truly helpful. And yesterday I was at the airport, and I was working on my sermon, reading, and I had a little time, and I look up and I see this little guy across the way from me. He was dressed in Maureen attire, so cute, like 20 years old. I was like, oh my God, Norman Rockwell could not have painted this boy any better. And he's sitting over there, and I couldn't take my eyes off him, not because I'm a creeper or Miss Roper, but a little bit I am. But anyhow, that wasn't the reason. The reason was he had a beauty about him, and I also felt an anxiety about him. I didn't know what it was, but I was watching him, and I got this hit that I was supposed to go say hello to him and thank him for his service. And I was like, I am not doing that. I'm not the weirdo in the airport. Like, that's just not me. I'm not going to do it. So I struggled for a while. I got out of my seat, and I play games with myself. Like, I'm like, well, if I hear the word telephone, then I'll go do it. Like, That's my crazy head. If I hear the word telephone, I'm like, why do I have to play games with myself? I got a hit to go say hello to him. Just do it. So I go over to him, and I say, well, thank you for your service. And he was like, well, thank you, ma'am. Oh, my God, he was so sweet. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, no, I didn't say that. He still seemed like kind of agitated, and I said, are you okay? And he said, I'm a little anxious about flying. And I thought, that's so sweet. And he said, yeah, and look at me. That's why I'm a Marine. Because he's in a submarine instead of the plane. I know, I didn't get his joke either at first. I was like, what does that mean? You're supposed to be brave? Like, I didn't get it. And then I got it later, and I was like, oh, what a funny kid. And he laughed when he said that. And I know my sister Mary has anxiety about flying too, and I told her once, just think of it like you're on a bus in the air. And I don't know, for whatever reason, she thought that helped her. So I said, just think about being in a bus in the air. And he was like, well, that's one way to look at it, ma'am. And I tried to seek for the words that might help alleviate his agitation, but I couldn't think of any because he reminded me of my dad, and all I wanted to do was cry, to tell you the truth. And I had to look like the brave person and not the weakling, because I was supposed to help him, not him help me. That would have been really sad if I just started crying. Maybe it would have been helpful, I don't know. So anyway, but I got to hit that I was just supposed to talk to him. So I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going home to Tennessee. I said, oh, really? You have siblings? Yeah, I have a younger brother and my parents, and they don't know I'm coming. And I am so excited about being home for the week with my family and my friends. And he said, I haven't been home since Christmas. I mean, it was so beautiful. Like, I just wanted to give him everything, And I was so grateful that my internal teacher gave me the opportunity to have that conversation. But if I was stuck in me, I got to do my sermon, I got to be really good tomorrow, I would have lost that opportunity, you know what I mean? And instead, the Holy Spirit was like, I got your sermon over here, girl, look up and follow me, It takes practice, but I promise you, if you start tapping into your own internal teacher and you start following it, even if it takes you to looking like a crazy person at the airport, just go. What do you got to lose? You got nothing. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Collaboration is like that. Ray was saying, when you and I come together, something beautiful can come from that beyond what you and I know. And that's part of the fear of collaborating. Part of the fear of collaborating is that I'm afraid I'm going to lose myself. And the truth is, you're going to lose yourself. Okay? It's no longer going to be just you. It's going to be you plus me. And it's no longer going to be either of us. It's going to be both of us. And if it's both of us, and if someone else jumps on and someone else jumps on, then it gets the opportunity to be the best of all of us. Because whatever we're collaborating is that which is good and beautiful and holy. And we get to expand something. And we get to literally expand the grace of God, expand the beauty of God, expand the magnificence of God, expand the love of God. We get to do that. And instead, we choose this? What the hell? Literally, what the hell? We're like in hell when we're doing this, So, it's one thing to know it. It's another thing to practice it. Now, you know it, and the next time you got a little inkling to, crucify somebody or take somebody down, just ask yourself, is that the most helpful thing I could do right now? Only you know the answer, and only you know when you're ready. So, agree to disagree. Keep it light and polite if you're up against a ragged place. And ask, what would love have me do? When we let go of a selfish state, we become available to others and create an opportunity for love. So I want to talk a little bit about competence and a little bit about Holy Communion. So competence is this. So we got compassion. We get compassion. It's a really cool place to see how compassionate you can be. Kuan Yin is the goddess, thank you, goddess of compassion. So this is competency. Competency is where you and I can be in our most audacious self. Like, I'm not helping you, and you're not helping me or fixing me or changing me or supporting me, but we're literally in our most brilliant place, and we're competently moving forward together, and we're leaning against each other. That's a great idea for community, for us to witness each other's competence. It's like the redwood forest trees. How their roots are just shallow, and their shallow roots are connected underground, so they allow themselves to grow really tall, but their strength comes from leaning into each other. And so where can you lean into community, and know that as you lean in, that gives the other person the permission to lean back, so I say a lot, but I forgive myself. This can happen in a good marriage. This can happen in a friendship, and it's a moving forward into the possibility of collaboration. right? So collaboration is where I'm surrendering myself to a bigger idea, and we can collaborate with life, we can collaborate with a bigger idea, and we can collaborate with our art. We can collaborate. Kathy and I collaborate every Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month. Collaboration requires trust. I trust that you're going to show up and bring all your good and not hold off anything in the back for somebody else or for some other day. You're just going to bring it all. And every first Tuesday of the month, we get together and collaborate. And I don't tell her what to do, and she doesn't tell me what to do. We just say, here's the show that we're doing, and this month is going to be about pride. And I gather up some storytellers, and she lets the Holy Spirit inspire her, and a show gets woven together right before our eyes, because God is the third person we're collaborating with, or creative spirit, or whatever you choose to call it. But, if you open up to collaborating with each other, you have an opportunity to leave a seat open for the creative genius of God. And when you do that, forget about it. It doesn't just serve me, it doesn't just serve you, it serves everyone. And people leave there like they've been to church. People who would never come to church leave there like they've been to church. So, not that it's my mission to get people to church, but the feeling of church, the feeling of the optimal idea of church. So we're going to open it up to a conversation. I want to end it one more time with, we have a community, right? We have this, or we have our life. And we can either conflict with our life, we can fight for our limitations, or we can have compassion where we help each other and love each other, or we can have competence where we trust each other, or we can have holy communion. This is what I call holy communion too, or collaboration, where we allow each other to bring our best selves and expand into a greater good, greater good, beyond what we even know to ask for. That's what lives in there. So that is the good news. Thanks you for sharing. God bless. All right. Yay!